What's up, YouTubers and He-Man fans? Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new, newly released Masters of the Universe New Eternia Beastman. I found this at my local Target today, and I was actually surprised to see it on the shelf. And another surprise is Masters of the Universe is actually celebrating their 40th anniversary. Wow, are we all getting old, guys? Just kidding. Alright, right here in the upper left corner of the box is the 40th anniversary logo that they have on this packaging. Nice silver logo. And of course on the box itself it has Masters of the Universe New Eternia Beastman. On the side of the box, a really fantastic drawing. Nice up close picture of Beastman's face and of course his stance. Back of the box here, as they always do, a nice bio right here. Feel free to pause the video and read that. Fantastic drawing of Beastman swinging from a tree and some other character in the background I'm not familiar with. And along the bottom is some of the other characters that are going to be releasing in this wave. As we turn the box on the side, it says Beastman, Tribal Leader. And as we look around at the front of the box, as I always say, fantastic way to display this figure on your shelf if you're a mint and box collector. But we're going to open him up and definitely check him out. Here we have Beastman released from his cardboard cage and everything laid out on the table here that was included in the packaging. Let's take a look at his accessories first, and we're going to take a look at his tribal club right here. For such a simple weapon, I have to tell you, I'm absolutely impressed. After taking a closer look at this, I'm not sure if it's coming out on camera, but this is actually two pieces of molded plastic. You can see the brown right here and the white on the spikes with the handle. And what they ended up doing is taking the brown plastic and taking two halves and wrapping it around all the white spikes. A really extra effort to add some really fantastic details to this very simple weapon. Well, I should say very deadly weapon. Alright, let's look at his hands next. As with all the other MOTU figures, he comes with an additional set of hands. Both gripping hands right here. These are articulated, of course. They move in this direction when they're on the figure. Both are painted and highlighted. Of course, it wouldn't be Beastman without his whip. This is a long, flexible string that's actually longer than the figure is tall. Nice silver hilt right here. And this actually hooks on the back of Beastman on his belt. And for his final accessory, his original body armor, which is a callback to the 80s figure. Nice fantastic detail on this with these spikes. Nice molded fur, and this just wraps around Beastman, and we'll take a look at this on the figure shortly. With all the accessories moved aside, let's take a look at the figure itself. I'll bring him in close so you can get a better look at him. We'll start with his headdress up here. This just rests on top of his head nice and simply. What a fantastic looking beast of some type that he actually took down and now he's wearing proudly as his headdress. You can see the molded fur and the spikes on the back. Nice white teeth, and again, that's what it looks like on the inside. Looking at the newly sculpted head on Beastman here, you can see the absolutely gnarly snarl and wide open mouth with his fangs sticking down. White painted face with the blue highlights. Turn it to the side here, you can see the sculpted fur and pointy ears. Really great job on this face sculpt. Looking at his body armor next, you can see that these are nice flexible gray spikes that go across both the shoulders. And of course the most obvious is the soft goods fur across both of his shoulders and down his chest. You know I'm a sucker for soft goods, so that's a really fantastic, aggressive look to Beastman. He has a molded skull on the front of his armor right here, and of course the gray belt that wraps around his waist. If I lift up the fur right here, you can see the shoulder spikes on Beastman. Really great looking sculpt on these, and these actually carry down to his forearm. Underneath this, he has a muted gold wristband on his left hand, and this particular hand is an open grasping or slashing hand. Look at this shoulder. Again, more spikes. A single spike on this forearm and 3 spikes on his right wristband, and this particular hand is a closed fist. Moving down the figure, on the front of his blue loincloth is a blue sash with some tribal painting on it. Nice and flexible, of course, to get out of the way, and if I tip it just right, you can actually see it's actually textured right there in the dark blue. Down on his legs, he has some really aggressive spiked knee pads. and shin guards right here with some spikes on them. Top of his feet, painted toenails. They actually took the extra step and molded the bottom of his feet, and here you can see 2 peg holes right there. If we turn the figure around to the back, here you can actually see I hung the whip right here on the loop, and that just pops in and out real easily. I really like how they have weapon storage on the figure. Sculpting going down, of course the blue loincloth, again flexible. Back of his legs are molded with the fur. This figure is actually painted from top to bottom, and they actually put a wash all over him to bring out all the fantastic detail too. Alright, let's put his headdress back on, and that's a look at the figure. Alright, what I did was put on his gripping hands, and I also put his weapons in his hands to show you how he holds them. I also swapped out the body armor for the other armor that was included, so now you can see what he looks like in this fashion. Now I'm going to grab the original body armor here, and I was really curious as to how they attached the fur, and I wasn't sure if it was glued on or not, but as I lift it up you can see they did glue it to the straps. So this isn't going to fall off, which actually makes for easy installation when you're putting it back on the figure. Alright, this club is rather heavy, and as you can see this is in his hand. We'll give it a shake test to see if he's going to drop it, and no, he's holding on to it pretty tightly. And of course with his whip, which is nice and light, no problem at all holding that in his other hand. Let's get these out of the way and start going over his articulation. Get his arms reset here so we can start this. Alright, and as we always do, we start with the head first. Here you can see with his head, he can actually move his head left and right. He can look up about this far, and he can tuck his chin in only about this far, and of course that's just due to the molded mouth being wide open. Moving on down to his shoulders, let's see if we can't get him into some type of T pose. See how high these go. Alright, not too bad with all that armor on. Of course, you're going to notice that these things actually wiggle around a little bit. All you might have to do is heat them up and push them up further on the forearm. Alright, shoulders rotate 360 degrees. Underneath this strap right here, he actually has a bicep swivel. Goes back and forth, no problem at all. Check out his double jointed elbow. Nice tight bend so he can reach around his back. Let's move on down to his wrists. These actually, again, let me massage this back up his forearm here. These actually rotate 360 degrees, and they bend up and down in this fashion. And that's the same thing for this hand. Back and forth. And as you can see, this one is loose on his forearm, so I'll have to heat it up and get it locked into his elbow joint. I bet you it'll stay if I do that. It could be frustrating to some people, but no big deal to me. Alright, let's go down to his diaphragm joint, which is hidden underneath the body armor. And you do get a little bit of motion up and down, a little back and forth, of course. Now with his waist, you get full 360 degree motion here. Moving on down to his lower body. Let's see what kind of splits Beastman can do. Alright, does the splits really well. Now standing up in walking poses, you can only get his leg back about this far, and of course that's just due to the molding of the backside of the figure. You know what's coming next? Spartan kick forward this high.
This is Sparta!
Underneath his loincloth here, and thank goodness this is flexible to get out of the way, he does have a thigh cut right here. See if I can't get this to swivel on camera. There we go. And down to his knee, he has double knee joint right here. A really great bend with even those straps on his calves. Right here is a joint. Right there on his calf. Of course, you're only going to get a little bit of motion on it with all this armor on. Lastly, his feet are on rockers, which go back and forth. They only go up about this far, and they go back about this far. Now just really be careful when you're moving the feet here. I would heat it up so you don't snap that pin off. So Beastman does definitely hit all those 30 points of articulation that's posted on the packaging. so no fear of him actually getting into some really fantastic posing. Now, as I try to stand him up, I do want you to note that he is a little top heavy. That's just due to the molding of him being hunched forward. Now, he's definitely capable of doing it, you just gotta work with him a little bit. What I did find though is that these NECA stands, you can see the peg right there, actually fit all these Masterverse figures perfectly. Put that on the bottom of his foot, and boom, now he's standing up, no problem at all. I actually found these NECA stands at Target as well. Really curious that they don't offer figure stands with any of these figures though. Well, let's go over some of the comparisons of the other Masterverse figures, and I didn't want to fill up the entire bench this time with all my figures. I just wanted to show you the range of just how big and bulky Beastman is, as opposed to Skeletor and of course Evil Lyn. And here we can see just how taller he is compared to these two figures and the presence that he makes on camera. Let's get Skeletor out of the way here, and I'll actually bring in this He-Man. And if you look closely, you can see he's actually a little bit taller than this He-Man too. One other thing to note is I actually tucked in the right-hand side of his fur just to see what that's going to look like. So you do have the option of tucking that in if you want. Just another option to have with both the body armor that comes with this figure. Let's grab He-Man here and get him out of the way, and I'll bring in the Netflix Beastman that was originally released, and we'll do a side-by-side of these two. And here you can actually see that the new release Beastman is taller than the original Beastman. What an obvious difference between the two. The one on the left is true to the cartoon or animated series, and the one on the right actually leans way more toward the classic version. Now, having this figure in hand, I can actually say that the figure in hand is way better than the actual stock images that we saw online not too long ago. Well, that's going to wrap up another review. This time we took a look at the new Eternia Beastman figure. And as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you like what you see, join the community and go ahead and hit that subscribe button for future notification of upcoming videos. And of course, more importantly, help a fellow collector out and share your knowledge.